What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. Happy Thursday. We had a great day yesterday. Hopefully, everybody in the chat, have you hit the like button already? If for nothing else, Danny Brasco's in the chat. We already have somebody in the chat who picked out one of my two picks that I'm about to give out on this show. But it's not just about PGA. It's not just about golf picks today. Not only do we have a great recap screen, but we have a brand new SportsLine member on this very show. All right, look at this. So listen, I'll be honest. I've lost 2 out of my last 3 on the Early Edge. That's certainly not horrible, but it's not great. The 2 losses prevented perfect records on the Early Edge. So I am very disappointed in myself, but 4 out of 5. We'll take that every time. And for the record, we were 1 bucket away from going 5 out of 5. Pacers end up winning, but they only win by 2. They needed a 3 at the buzzer. They were up 3. They could have, gotten to the foul line and covered pretty easily, but it didn't work out. We'll take 4 out of 5 every time. But like I said, we have a new member of SportsLine. He's on the show in the here and now. So we're not just bringing you buckets. We're not just bringing you Propstarz. We're bringing you a guy that's going to be on here quite a bit and is going to be part of the SportsLine universe because he covers mainly college football, but also college basketball. Tom Casale at the Tom Casale. We are 33 days away from March Madness, from the tip of March Madness, Tom. You got to be excited. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. I'm excited to be here. 30 years of gambling and ditching 5 bookies. I finally made it. So I'm in the big time. I'm pumped to be here. It's my favorite time of year. March Madness coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for being on here. I'm really excited about March Madness and as many March Madness cappers, college basketball cappers as we can get on here because it's not just about March Madness, right? We got the conference tournaments that we're on the doorstep of all of this stuff. So it's one of the best times of the year because at that same time, we're going to have MLB. And Proppy, I got to ask you, we're about, I think it's like 100 days from the NBA finals tipping off. Maybe it's 112. I looked all this stuff up pre-show, which means we've got your NBA props for, I don't know, the next 4 months, which I absolutely love. You got to be excited about that.
See, I could not be more fired up. It's been a great first half to the season. We've got a little tiny baby slate tonight, 3 games. Looking forward to getting a couple picks out for this evening. And then we've got some all-star festivities, a nice little break. Then it's right back to the grind, which I live for. And shout out to the chat. What is up, chat?
What is up, chat? All right, chat. We have some soccer picks we're going to get right into with our main man, Buckets. Buckets is not choking on fish oil pills today, but he was choking on something else. Some hot sauce action if you all could be in here pre-show, it's a pretty fun time. And you know what else is fun? Buckets right before the show. He has some anytime goal scorer leans that he's going to give out after his 2 picks. So Buckets, you got a lot to say. Let's just get it started right now with the official picks. Talk to us about, what is it? The Europa League today.
Yes, see, we've got Europa League and Europa Conference League today, but I just want to say real quick, Tom, as a fellow UNLV fan, I love having you on the show, and I'm excited to hear all your takes. But let's talk some conference play here, guys. We have a tremendous matchup between Union Saint-Gilloise, a Belgian club, hosting Eintracht Frankfurt this afternoon at 12:45, and I'm going to make this one incredibly easy for all of us. Take both teams to score at -120. That's a little bit of juice, but I would have played this all the way up to -150, -155. Union Saint-Gilloise is an incredible team offensively, but defensively is just not there yet, and they haven't been for a very long time. This is a team that is doing tremendous work in the Belgian league right now, but they're conceding goals rapidly against teams that are way worse than Eintracht Frankfurt. This is a game where I like the over. I love the BTTS at -120. Then for our second pick, we're going to another conference game taking place at 3 p.m. this afternoon as Ajax Amsterdam are hosting Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt has been on break. They've been playing some cup games, some friendlies, but they're going to be a little bit rusty. But you're allowed to be rusty when you play Ajax Amsterdam in the form that they are in. Ajax Amsterdam, who is usually one of the titans of the Eredivisie, is struggling to really do anything right now. If you look at their last 14 games across all competitions, both teams to score has hit in 13 of those 14, and over 2.5 goals has hit in 12 of those 14. This is a team that is scoring goals like mad, and they're defending like it doesn't even matter if they have to defend right now. I'm taking both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at -130 in a match that I think could have 5, potentially 6 goals. This is the one you might want to ladder, but BTTS and over 2.5 at -130 is an absolute gift in this matchup.
I love that you're making some of these picks easy because not everybody bets soccer. And when you make it easier, it's just a lot easier to bet. But I got to say, We have a lot of cappers in the chat. Bradley Jacobs, Chris Kish. I think there's others too that are capping soccer. Snug the Cat, do you also cap soccer? A lot of soccer people in the chat. Now, speaking of buckets, before we move on to my golf picks and to Tom Casale's college basketball picks and to Proppy's NBA prop, anytime goal scorer leans, can you talk to us about any of those?
I can talk to you about all three of these. Jake did a tremendous job picking some really, really good goal scorers, and I'm kind of shocked that all three of these guys are at plus odds. You've got Victor Gyökeres playing for Sporting, who's taking on Young Boys Bern this afternoon. You've got Mauro Icardi for Galatasaray taking on Sparta Prague, and Brian Brobly taking on Bodo Glimt in that match we already talked about. These are three guys that I love because I think all three of these teams score at least 2 goals this afternoon. And this is the kind of players that have to step up for their clubs, especially in these European competitions. Frankly, I like all three of these. If I had to play only one, I'm always going to play Mauro Icardi because this Galatasaray side just feeds him the ball. He's the penalty kick taker. He is the man right now for Galatasaray while he's still there. But I will say this, put a little sprinkle on a 3-part parlay. That's plus 750 for all three of these guys to get the job done.
Wow, plus 750. That's fun. All right, speaking of making plus 750 parlays, where can you do it? How about BetMGM? New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $5, and you will receive $150 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE150. That's EDGE150. Does everybody want to hear my Willie Beeman / Jamie Foxx basketball story again? Because I see him holding a basketball. I feel like I want to tell that story again, but that story is all about me, right? So I'll hold off on that story. Maybe we'll tell it another time. Jamie Foxx, such an incredibly good person. I cannot stress that enough. I have experience hanging out with him and just such a good dude. All right, I need a broom to sweep up all these names I just dropped. And while I'm doing that, let's hear a message from our partners.
Out there are 2 colossal beings, both forces of nature in their own regard. But in here, as soon as the chute bursts open, the duality of man and beast begins to fade. This is the PBR on CBS Sports Network.
All right, we go to round 1 of the Genesis Invitational. I've got 2 picks for you today. This first one, I absolutely love, and I feel like the lines makers kind of got it wrong. The books kind of got it wrong, and we've seen that because the price has gotten a little steeper. I'm talking about a 3-ball today with Justin Thomas, who we know is playing very well. If you watch the early wedge, and if you watch this show, you know we've been betting on Justin Thomas over the last few weeks to our success. He's minus 125 over at BetMGM over Tiger Woods and Gary Woodland. Gary Woodland, he's obviously coming back from something very significant. His game really isn't there. I trust that he's not going to be the winner of this 3-ball. No, so now we're just looking at Tiger Woods, and we know Tiger Woods not only hasn't played in quite some time, but he hasn't really been good at Riviera. His record at Riviera versus pretty much every other course on the PGA Tour, it's not great. Justin Thomas has a good record here, good course history here, and he's coming in with elite form, probably top 2, top 3, top 4 form over the last 16, 20 rounds on the PGA Tour. So this one yesterday at a lot of books was minus 115 or minus 120. At some of those same books, it's now at minus 140. But good news, at BetMGM, it's minus 125. I'll say this, though. If you're at a different book and you're paying the minus 140, I still think it's worth it. I would still make this bet at minus 140. Once it gets to like minus 150, that's when I'm probably like, all right, it's 18 holes, kind of anything can happen, but in this case, I really like this 3-ball because I think Tiger will be okay, but Justin Thomas is just playing at an elite level. And frankly, I just think he's going to outclass both of these guys. My other pick, and I'll keep this kind of short, I wanted to add in some plus money. I've got a head-to-head matchup here. It's Cameron Young plus 114. Again, this is just for round 1 for the 3-ball and for this matchup. If you want my tournament matchups, go to my early wedge article or go watch the early wedge, which you can still do. It's in your feed. Cameron Young plus 114 over Victor Hovland. Victor Hovland is the better player than Cameron Young, but Cameron Young flashed a little bit last week at the Phoenix Open. I was really encouraged about what I saw from him, and frankly, in first rounds, he's been pretty good. Victor Hovland, on the other hand, so far in 2024, he hasn't been very good, particularly on approach. He's been pretty bad with the short game as well. Can he rebound in round 1? Absolutely. But even if he does, and even if he captures his old form, I still think Cameron Young has a shot to beat him, and at plus money, I'm willing to take that shot. The alternative is Victor Hovland's game is not back, and he's still kind of shoddy with his game, and Cameron Young rolls all over him. So I think in either scenario, whether Victor Hovland has his game back or whether he doesn't. I think Cameron Young has a good chance, and at plus money, I'm going to take that pretty much every single time. So again, this is one round one 3-ball, one round one head-to-head matchup. Again, when you're betting on golf, make sure you're on the right tab because there's a lot of different things you can bet. Tournament matchups, head-to-head matchups, 18-hole matchups, 3 balls. So make sure you clicked on the right thing and you'll be able to find these bets. All right, that's golf. We covered golf. We covered soccer. Now it's time for a little bit of college basketball. And Tom Casale, I love these picks already. And it's not because I know they're great picks because I haven't capped these teams. But what I love is that, like, I can already tell you dig deep, right? You're not going for like the featured teams. You are digging deep for teams that maybe people don't really know about. And what's cool about that is typically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, typically when you're talking Charleston or North Texas, maybe those lines aren't as efficient as perhaps the Kansas, the Dukes, the North Carolina. So you can feel free to respond to that if you want, but you got 2 picks here for us. Let's talk.
Yeah, usually I live in the mid majors. That's where the line you get the most value. You know, it's February, so the books are are tighter on the lines, but especially early in the season, if you're following these smaller conferences, you can really clean up. But that's where I'm going today on my first pick, Charleston, Northeastern. You know, Charleston has dominated this series recently. Last 4 games, they've won by an average of 87-64. The problem for Northeastern here is Charleston attempts the 10th most 3-point shots in college basketball. And Northeastern has a terrible perimeter defense. They give up over 38% from 3. You know, Charleston's going to get a ton of open looks. And when you don't stop that 3 ball, they're really tough to beat. They've scored at least 80 points in all 4 of those matchups recently. I see them scoring big against tonight. This line was a little low at 3.5. It's moved a bit. I like it up to -5. Charleston, 7-2 on the road this year, so they have no problem winning away from home. I like them to get the win. They're still in contention with UNC Wilmington for the conference title, so look for them to be focused tonight. My second pick, I'm going at North Texas, Memphis. North Texas has stumbled recently, 2-5 last 7. But if you look at those games, they've had a little bit of bad luck. They've faced a lot of good teams. They've lost a couple of close games to Florida Atlantic, to South Florida. Here they are, they're home against a Memphis team that runs hot or cold. But I like this matchup for North Texas. You know, Memphis, when they lose, they have trouble turning the ball over. And I think North Texas's ball pressure defense is going to cause them a lot of issues tonight. The other area I like for North Texas is they have a big edge on the offensive boards. Memphis is the worst defensive rebounding team in the conference. So even if North Texas isn't shooting well, they're going to get those second chance points. Going to be a close game, but there's a lot of edges here for the Mean Green at home. And I think some of that bad luck they've had recently, that regresses a little bit. They get some luck tonight and they beat Memphis at home.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I can tell you this. Just changing gears a little bit. Some of you on BetMGM are having trouble finding some of the golf matchups, but I can tell you, and I think Chris has already found it. If you click on events, you're going to get the whole cascade of golf matchups and selections. So just an FYI out there, you kind of have to get some experience with these sites, especially under the golf, or even like with soccer, you get some experience with where this stuff is, and then it becomes very routine. Tom Casale, I love it. I love the analysis. Charleston -3.5, North Texas money line at -115. I'm honestly like really giddy, Tom, to have you on the show, to be able to see your picks on SportsLine, because again, I love how you're already attacking stuff. So again, thanks for being a part of this show. Can't wait. And I know the chat agrees. Can't wait to see you more and more on the early edge. All right, we got to get to a SportsLine play involving the NHL. And then Proppy, he's been very quiet. That's on me. I gotta get Proppy cannot be quiet for like 10 minutes in a row. I can't do that. That's bad hosting on my part. So I'm about to fix it. But before I do that, let's hear a message from our partners.
The madness doesn't just happen.
Y'all get ready!
And although it's marked on our calendars each year, it's built by moments of mayhem before.
And the crowd goes crazy!
And it begins to bubble long before it bursts. Sure, madness and March may go hand in hand, but it starts right here.
All right, we're back with the SportsLine play. Let's get some hockey involved. We had Griffin Carroll here a couple of days ago. You can go on SportsLine and get all of our hockey picks, but we're going with a play from Jeff Hockman. We've got Lightning money line tonight. Lightning money line at -110. That is our SportsLine site play, but I got to get in and out of this one because Proppy has been quiet for way too long. So again, Lightning money line is the SportsLine site play. Get to SportsLine to see all the plays. Proppy. Now, we're winding down a little bit towards the All-Star break. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's only like 3 games today. There was a ton of games yesterday. I missed my pick by a couple of points. I'm still kind of frustrated about that. But you've got a prop involving Jaren Jackson Jr. A lot of J's. Is he going to make a lot of J's is the question. You've got the floor.
Thank you, Sia. Yeah, we do. The reigning defensive player of the year, I might add, and an all-star last year, Jaren Jackson Jr. We're going to go over on his points, rebounds, and assists. The number is 30.5, which is very low. Typically, this fluctuates between 33.5, and in the right matchup, it'll be as high as 37, 38.5. But this looks like a good matchup to me. I think the one caveat is it is the second half of a back-to-back game, but Jackson's actually played in a few back halves back-to-back games this season already, playing against Milwaukee tonight. Milwaukee is a significant favorite, but I think this Memphis team, they're resilient. They are just extremely injury-ravaged, depleted roster. Jaren Jackson is like the last of the Mohicans. He's their last remaining starter left, but he's still playing very good basketball. He's averaging career highs across the board from a statistical standpoint. His efficiency's dropped off a little bit because he's been thrust into this role as basically the first option on this Grizzlies team. So he has a green light offensively, and he's had some huge historic success and results against Giannis and the Bucks. I just think this number is too low. I think Memphis can hang with Milwaukee for at least 3 quarters, and I think Jaren Jackson Jr. will play upwards of 30 minutes tonight. Even if it is a blowout game, I think he has a good chance to eclipse this because he will be aggressive and he's likely to get up a lot of shots. So going Jaren Jackson Jr. over 30.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And I will have an additional probably 1 to 2 plays up on the site and in my best bets article that will be out later this morning.
Up on the site and in his best bets article. Let's take a look real quick how you can join up at SportsLine if you're not already. I'll make this super quick because I'm pretty sure every single person in this chat has already joined, but head to sportsline.com/join and you get 60% off the annual plan. All you got to do is type in winners in the promo code. Again, that's winners at sportsline.com/join. There was a question about golf, which I absolutely loved because one of the plays I almost gave out was, he says Ludwig Avery. That's autocorrect. Ludwig Aberg, otherwise known as Aubert, at -105 over Nick Hardy and Seabez Christian Bezuidenhout. I do like that. And I like the Adam Scott one as well over Alex Smalley, Taylor Montgomery. I'll tell you, those are not official plays of mine, but both of those were leans that I was really close to making official plays. So I don't want to get too immersed into the 3-ball discussion because it's just, when you have to edge out 2 guys versus 1, it's a kind of a different analysis, but I do like those if you're inclined to bet another 3-ball. Tom, before we get out of here, can I ask you something? And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. I don't expect you to know the odds or anything like that. But yesterday, I believe, or it was the day before, we were looking at NCAA futures. Is there a team, whether it's a short shot or a long shot or a medium shot, is there a team that you have kind of rattling in the back of your mind that you're either going to bet now or you're waiting for the brackets to come out to hammer? I mean, we had like some of the discussion points, Houston was a team I liked, and we were talking about some longer shots as well. Anybody that comes to mind before we get out of here?
Yeah, I will say college basketball has changed a little bit. It does, when the brackets come out, it's bigger now than it was a couple of years ago. But the 3 teams I took 2 of them still have value. I took North Carolina when they were 30-1. My problem with North Carolina, though, is I'm afraid maybe they peaked a little too early. And that happens in college basketball. We saw it with Auburn, a couple of years ago. But I do think North Carolina still has the team to make a run. The 2 long shots I have Florida at 100-1, and I have Iowa State at 90-1. Wow. Iowa State, to me, is the team that if they can get through the early rounds without having one of their 45-point scoring games, they shoot the ball better this year. They're a tough matchup defensively for anybody. So that's a team further down the trough I like a little bit. I will say you got the odds up here. I think Kansas is a waste of money. Tennessee's a really good team. Again, a lot of this comes down to, can they win early? Remember, 2 of the Final 4 teams last year almost lost in round 1, FAU and San Diego State. Can Tennessee get over that hump and win a couple games? If they can get to that second weekend, they're really going to be tough. And you got to watch out for UConn again. But I would say fade Kansas. If you're looking for a flyer right now, my team is Iowa State. I think they present a lot of tough matchups if they get the right seeding and the right bracket in March.
Yeah, and Iowa State, I mean, we've seen it. They're pretty good on the road. They can play on the road, which means, of course, they can play at a neutral site as well. I think Iowa State, Meg McDonald's going to love you for that, Tom Casale. I think Iowa State is a really good pick. 90 to 1, 100 to 1. Those numbers are long gone, but I do think good looking out to getting those numbers. I got UNC at 40 to 1, which, that was like before they really had done anything. So, we're going to have so much discussion. I mean, when the brackets come out, I mean, we're going to have special shows for that, I'm sure. I absolutely cannot wait. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen real quick. Buckets, Union SG Frankfurt, BTTS minus 120. That's both teams to score. IX, I'm going to mess this up. Bodo Glimt, both teams to score. Buckets, did I screw that up?
Nope, Bodo Glimt.
Let's go. Plus over 2.5 at minus 130. Genesis Invitational. I've got a 3-ball with JT over. I know you don't want to do it. Over Tiger and Gary Woodland. And I've got a head-to-head matchup for round 1. Cameron Young over Victor Hovland. For the full slate of picks from me, Patrick McDonald, and Eric Cohen, just go to the early wedge and catch all those picks or read our articles on SportsLine. Tom Casale, he's got Charleston minus 3.5 and North Texas money line minus 115. And Proppy's got Jaren Jackson Jr. over 30.5 PRA points, rebounds, and assists at minus 115. Our SportsLine site pick, Lightning money line. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show. We even got a little bit more futures analysis in college basketball. I absolutely love it. What a great show. Jake the Snake, I don't think you all realize what he's doing behind the scenes. He's putting up stuff that we don't even know he has because he's anticipating so much. So everybody in the chat, just give a shout out, whether it's today or tomorrow. A shout out to Jake the Snake for being so good and just so nimble with all of these graphics. It's really, really appreciated by all of us. Hopefully it's appreciated by you. On behalf of Jake the Snake on the ones and twos, on behalf of Tom Casale, our new member of SportsLine, and this show, The Early Edge, and on behalf of Proppy and Buckets, this is The Early Edge. I am the counselor, and we rest our case.